Today on Homeworthy, we're exploring 3 homes that are a masterclass in color. Join us as we highlight how each homeowner has expertly layered bold, vibrant hues to craft and reveal the unique stories of their spaces. Watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Before today's episode, click the join button below to support all of the storytelling we do on this channel. Our growing community of members help to directly fund more videos so we can capture these extraordinary homes from around the world. So join today to receive early and exclusive access to new Homeworthy videos.
Hey Homeworthy, I'm Molly. We're in Charleston, South Carolina. Welcome to my home. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
My name is Molly Basile. I'm an interior designer in Charleston, South Carolina, and we specialize in full-service residential projects here. We have a studio right outside of downtown Charleston where we also offer accessories and our favorite interior objects. And I have owned my business for a little over 5 years now, and it's a passion, and I love what I do. So we live in Mount Pleasant, which is right outside of downtown Charleston. We found our home about 5 years ago. We really fell in love with just kind of the laid-back charm of this neighborhood, and it's very central. So our home, we drove by quite a bit. We heard it was coming on the market and knew it had a lot of potential. It sits on a corner lot with a lot of space to play outside, and so my husband and I found the house. We actually, jumped on it before it even hit the market. We wrote a letter to the sellers, and really could see us here long term. So this is sort of our, what I would say, forever or long-term home. We really fell in love with the location and just kind of the lot. There's a large magnolia tree out front. The backyard space, which I'll show you, was really nice and important to us. So we saw the potential. We brought in an architect and did a large renovation about 5 years ago. So it was about a year-long project. We kind of tore it down to like the brick walls, the original brick walls. But we love it, and it's just really comfortable. It does have formal traditional elements, but I also try to keep it very livable and family friendly. Welcome to my entryway. This is, you can see an original piece of the home with the lower ceilings. We wanted it to feel really warm and inviting, so I've added in textures and layers. I love this grass cloth Schumacher wallpaper that we did up the stairs, and added a fun pop of color with the stair runner, little leopard light blue, which I feel like is a classic, blue and white. We didn't have a lot of space. You can see it's not very large. It's definitely cozy, so added a small table here, a very narrow console, just to give it a little personality and interest when you come in, and then also added a mirror, an antique mirror, to give it a little character and bring in some light, just to reflect some natural light. We have a little drop here with plant and usually a key drop in mail, but some artwork, some favorite artwork, the green, and yeah, just really wanted it to feel warm, inviting, blues and greens, and then the neutral backdrop with the grass cloth, and a little flush mount crystal chandelier to give it a little bit of that traditional charm that the original structure had, and couldn't go too large with the lower ceilings. Now I'd love to show you my office. My office is right off of our entry. We have the glass pocket doors we added to give a little privacy but still bring in the light. This is another smaller space in our home, but perfect amount just for me to kind of sit in here and work when I want to work from home. It is a similar color palette off the entry with, warm neutrals and blues and greens. Added these floral draperies, this antique desk, which I love, and then kind of a fun little modern chair at the desk. So you can see I love family pictures and try to keep it very personal in here with, all of the styling and the built-ins as well. One big piece of it was adding the storage, and so we did the built-in wall with the grass cloth at the back to bring in the grass cloth from the foyer and also just give it a little more depth. So we designed these built-ins, and you can see I have lots of personal items that are kind of, rotating occasionally, and then a little bench here. Before I had my studio in Charleston, I worked out of here full time, and so definitely had, some good functional storage that was important. But I love this little space right off the entry, and it's a nice place to kind of just work from home and have a little quiet when I need. The little pillow is my favorite thing to make for dinner is reservations. And it's kind of true with where I am in my phase of life right now. I do enjoy cooking, but we are, busy with a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, and so going out to dinner is a treat and one of my favorite things. And then I've added this more modern abstract art with pulling out blues and greens again from sort of the entry color palette, and then the drapery panels in here, but needed something large to fill this wall. It's a good backdrop, to any calls, and also just adds a, pop of color on this large white space. When we first saw the home, we really loved the charm. It was a 1950s colonial style. I love the traditional curb appeal. My husband really wanted sort of an updated, newer style, more modern finishes, and so it was a good place for us because we knew that we saw the potential with the the space to add on. But then we've got low ceilings in part of the home, like 8-foot ceilings and some narrow hallways, and so it does have that kind of traditional feeling like my house growing up had, and so it just felt like us. It felt like we could kind of get the best of both that we each were looking for and make it our own. I would describe my style as fresh traditional. I love traditional textiles and florals and blues and greens, but I also like to kind of make it light and comfortable, not too formal, livable, and so a lot of our projects do kind of have a similar style where we bring in a mix of textures and colors and kind of make it feel updated while still maintaining, a lot of those traditional elements. I love mixing in, modern accessories or abstract art with a more traditional floral and kind of giving it a twist, clean lines, and so I try to mix in, different furniture pieces that, kind of balance out that traditional feeling. Now I'd love to show you the kitchen if you want to follow me. Welcome to my kitchen. It's very, light, kind of clean, white. Added the unlacquered brass finishes throughout, and just wanted a really kind of clean palette and light and bright space. We added the large island, which I love, and this is kind of where we spend a lot of our time, as most do, I'm sure. The brass lanterns, I love the idea of just doing something different for the pendants, and added the fun little fabric shades on the lanterns to give it a little personal touch and pop of color. But it's very just clean, timeless, the white and brass. This is our cozy corner, as we call it, and it's one of our family's favorite spaces. This is our little breakfast nook. So it's not the formal dining space, but where we do eat a lot of family meals, and had this large abstract art commissioned for the big wall at the back. And I've added some durable faux leather bench cushions, so it's very family friendly and also where we spend a lot of time. The bar stools we had from our last home, which was actually very cozy kitchen, and so my goal with the acrylic was just to keep them very light. We brought them into this home and I still love them with children. I can just wipe them down, which is really nice. They kind of disappear and they're definitely more clean, modern lines with, the more traditional lantern and unlacquered brass finishes. So yeah, I just kind of like to keep this really fresh and clean. I still love an all white kitchen, so. And one last thing is this little table. This I put at the end of our island between the kitchen and living room, and so when my children are having a snack, sometimes dinner happens here, but this is their perfect little spot. Easy for me to kind of help them, and this is a nice little touch at the end of the island. Right near our kitchen, kind of off the island, we have a little bar area where we love to entertain, have friends over. You can see we just have a little styled bar. It also is right between the kitchen and the dining space. Our kitchen and dining room is all very open, but I still tried to create sort of a more traditional formal feel in this dining room. So you can see it is open concept, but added the formal chandelier and just more of the traditional Louis chairs with the green fabric to give it some interest. So this is our formal dining room right behind the kitchen. And then as we move into our living space, so this is where the original home ended, and we did this addition here, this vaulted room, really kind of to make the house feel updated and new. With the 8-foot ceilings in the kitchen, we transitioned to the vaulted space. I have my children's silhouettes hanging on each side of the kitchen. That kind of brings us into this space, which is a favorite, and an antique chest I found from England, and then we've styled it with family photos, which I mentioned I love to incorporate some fresh flowers, and so this brings us into the living room. I've added, personal touches throughout our home. We have a lot of family photos, lots of artwork that has special meaning to us. Those are the first things that come to mind. You'll see, it's lived in. We have toys, in baskets around our living room, and even though it feels like it can be formal and nice for entertaining, it's also really a reflection of us. So I like to sprinkle in, my kids' artwork or pictures of them, and it's just feels like them, and they get excited about it, and so it's a balance. And right off of our kitchen and dining room is our great room where we spend a lot of our time. And as I mentioned, we vaulted the space, so it's very tall ceilings, a ton of natural light, and a lot of windows. And yeah, come on in. When I designed this room, I started with the rug and really pulled colors from here. So it is a large white space, and I wanted to bring in some color and warmth while still keeping it fresh and light. And so I added the blue sofas with the traditional stripe on the chairs. And this is where we love to hang out. So performance fabrics and then lots of pattern with the rug and pillows was important to kind of help hide any stains. So it feels very family friendly. The fireplace is the center, the focal point of the room. We did hang our TV. It's an art TV over the fireplace. And then I added some little touches here with the brass to tie in the brass finish throughout the home. These were actually my grandmother's brass candlesticks, which is really special. And then I love adding a little pop of color with candles, a little unexpected. Behind the sofa, I have our family photos here. I love to change these out when I can, and I think adding those personal touches throughout a space just make it really feel like home. And my children even love to, look at them and see them when they were babies. But adding family photos, I do love to style that way. And little, silver frames. I have a few here, but I think silver frames are a nice way. You can kind of find them anywhere, but they can dress up the family photos so nicely and really look so classic. So our coffee table is a little bit of a distressed wood finish. So it's nice and durable. Also the distressing helps with little scratches. Lots of toys are, we play lots of games, and there's a lot of toys on the table. But the traditional wood, I really love to bring in some dark wood in a room, especially with something so bright and white. And then the traditional Ming foot on the table I love. So this table we've had for a long time, but it's just a classic piece. At each end of the room, we had these little walls, and it was important to add some color at the back. So I actually had the paintings of my children commissioned by local artists, and that is my son at the beach a couple years ago, and then my daughter's on the other side. But they're very special to us, and I found 2 chests. They're not a pair. They're a little bit different, but I have an antique chest on each side of the room. And then again, just kind of styling with family pictures and creating little vignettes. It's a nice little corner at the back of the room. Custom draperies. I love adding custom drapes to projects when we can. I think they can give so much to a space. The tall ceilings and windows in this room, it was important that we had some privacy in a way to really highlight the windows. So added these white linen drapes with a detailed trim here that pulls out, the color palette again. I obviously love some blue and green, but the embroidered tape to dress it up a little bit on the leading edge. But these, I think, give the space a little bit of a more formal feeling and really highlight the windows, which was nice. I source kind of all over. I love an antique, a good find. And so for my own home, I would say I've pulled in a lot of antiques and kind of one of a kind pieces. For projects, we do source a lot of new furniture as well. I think antiques are just special. They tell a story. They're a little lived in, which I appreciate. And then, with lighting and kind of pulling in, like I said, modern lines, I think it's a nice balance. Throughout my home, I've sourced, it's taken a while. It's still not quite finished. It's always a work in progress. We've been here living in the home about 4 years, and I still am adding. So there's layers to it, and that's how I approach our work and our projects. And so I think that's what gives, a design, a feeling of home with having kind of layers and personal touches throughout, which comes with time. And now I'd love to show you our powder room. Follow me. So our powder room, I wanted to dress it up a little bit. I added the little glass doorknob and the brass console sink, which was perfect because it's a very small space. And the green wallpaper, I love this color green. It's a favorite of mine. And so added this with the brass and then the grass cloth mirror to give it some texture. Designing the marble sink was really fun. We added the custom little detail there for the backsplash. And then a favorite part is the little light switches where you can see the wallpaper behind them. Yes, now that I've had my business for about 5 years, I would say my career certainly affects my home. I'm constantly, seeing new pieces and feeling inspired by what we see at, furniture market or with travels. And it's always tempting to kind of bring that in to my own home. But I think, it's a work in progress, like I mentioned. So it's evolving and kind of never being done. My career is my life. It's, what I do all the time outside of my family. And so it just trickles into my home. And we even just were in North Carolina a couple weeks ago at Furniture Market and added a few new things to our house. So looking for projects, but also kind of always, if I'm drawn to something, I'm like, I'll find a place for it at my own home. So. And then just right around the corner is our family's mudroom, kind of drop zone. So come follow me. This is where we come in and kind of drop our bags and mail and keys. So we have a lot of storage to kind of hide it all. You can see we've got hooks and cubbies, so shoes can be tucked away. And adding the wallpaper in here was also really fun. I love, the all, kind of one color, the same color throughout. So we painted the trim blue and the cabinets to match the wallpaper and just kind of give this space a little personality since it is just sort of the drop zone. You can always make them really happy and pretty. So in this space, even with the floral wallpaper, I wanted it to feel like a utility space and kind of storage mudroom, and so added this little task light over the window that's nice, you can see when you come in. What gives a home soul? I mean, the people that make it up. So I think it's a safe space for your children to come home to, for your family to really be together. And so I think with young children, it becomes even more important to me to just create a safe little haven for them to be happy and be together. All right, now we'll head upstairs and I will show you our guest bedroom. Before we head to the guest bedroom, I did want to show you these baby gates we had made with the Chippendale design when we moved in, obviously for safety, but they also kind of are nice to dress up the stairs. And welcome to our guest bedroom. You can see I love some wallpaper, so added the wallpaper in this room and then also carried it with the fabric on the window treatments. But this is our little escape for our guests when they come visit in Charleston. Usually it's family and friends visiting. And the soft blue, I fell in love with the fabric first and the wallpaper idea and just kind of carrying the same fabric throughout the room. Soft blue color I loved. I wanted it to feel very calming and relaxing. And cozy with the vaulted ceiling, the dormer I should say, but found the fabric and wallpaper combination and love the idea of using the same one throughout the room. So this is our guest bedroom. This is another antique piece I loved and a piece I found I didn't have a spot for, but kind of made it work in this room, and I love the mix with the more, kind of updated coral mirror here. So it's sort of coastal beachy with a little bit of traditional mixed in. So a lot in this room is vintage. I found those vintage prints years ago, and they've kind of moved throughout different homes with us. And then this fun little chair I found at a vintage shop in town, but thought it was really fun and just kind of a nice little drop zone too for guests when they come, place to put their things. And I like the kind of coastal texture that the rattan brings to the room. So this room, like I mentioned, I wanted it to feel traditional and cozy, but also bring in some coastal elements and textures, which we did with these fun little scalloped wicker side tables. And then the more traditional brass sconces we put on each side of the bed. It just feels kind of like a little escape for our guests, which I love. And these built-ins, we had sort of a, kind of awkward little nook here and thought it would be nice to style some shelves and add some personal touches there and favorite collected items. So on each side we have family pictures and just kind of special little keepsakes that we've collected. This is our guest bathroom right off the bedroom and carried the same blue tile into this space that complements the wallpaper nicely from the bedroom. Feels very calming and relaxing in here, and it's small, but we had fun with just kind of the mirror placement and the sconce being cozy. But this was one of those challenges with designing the room when it was, the original structure, just kind of ceiling pitches and dormers, and so love how we just kind of created this little bathroom off the bedroom. So we have some Wheezy towels in the bathroom with a personal monogram that also tie into the blue on the bath mat. And I think little personal touches like that and kind of thoughtful design details really make our guests feel welcome, which makes me happy. My favorite part of our home is our outdoor space. My second favorite space would be the living room we're sitting in now with all of the natural light. Like I mentioned, I love that. But our outdoor space, we have plenty of space for the children to play, a pool, we entertain friends a lot. We have a nice screened-in porch that I love, and this time of year, being outside in the spring, it just makes me happy when we can kind of unwind at the end of the day and be outside. So I would say probably my whole house agrees that the outdoor space is our favorite. And now I'd love to take you downstairs to the backyard, which is our favorite part of our home and why we fell in love with this property. So come on downstairs. So welcome to our screen porch, which is just off our living room. And this is where we spend a lot of time when it's summer and mosquito season in Charleston. So we have a fireplace here with a TV, and this is where we entertain a lot and spend time with friends when we're by the pool. And then this opens up to our backyard. With the furniture out here, I wanted to keep it, it's obviously outdoor. It will hold up to the weather and just really light and kind of clean and fresh. The wicker, I love the lines of the furniture with the traditional wicker detail. And then this white table, another very durable piece that, we kind of hang out and entertain, like I mentioned, and so it's great for all sorts of things. And then the blue, love some blue and white, and so brought in just a touch of blue on the pillows to keep it really classic and just soft and bright out here. And now I'll show you the rest of the backyard. Right off the screened-in porch, we have our grill area and table where we spend a lot of time in the summer, and then it opens up to our pool lounge side. So we tried to kind of create different little areas to spend time in the backyard. At the very back, we have the fireplace, pool loungers by the pool, and then our dining side. We spend a lot of our weekends by the pool in the summer when it's warm in Charleston, and this is, I think, my kids' favorite place to spend time. We have a lot of friends over. They can come in on our side gate. We can grill, have dinners, and then just kind of hang by the pool and swim. It gets pretty hot here, so this is the perfect little escape the heat. So our pool, we chose kind of a darker pool and darker tile. It's very clean line, which I love, and so the furniture is sort of a reflection of that. It's teak, just classic clean lines. Ties in the blue from the screen porch with the lumbar pillows. I wanted it to feel just like a relaxing resort to, again, just escape and unwind, and then added the little scalloped umbrellas just for a fun little pop. It feels just kind of unexpected and playful, which I like. So this fireplace addition in the back, we love just kind of the unexpected look of it with the traditional details of our home, and so we chose kind of cleaner lines, just really minimal out here to give it a more transitional design. And this is where it's really nice even in the fall and winter to just kind of sit out here, have a fire, glass of wine, and just relax. I believe a home is a reflection of the people who live there. It should bring you happiness. It should bring you relaxation. It should bring you a lot of joy and a lot of fun memories when I work on projects, with our clients for an extended period of time, usually at least a year or two. When I kind of say, okay, we're done and it's yours, and move in, I think about all the memories that they will have together, and so that brings me so much happiness. That's why I love what I do.
Today on Homeworthy, we're bringing you to San Antonio, Texas for a look inside interior and textile designer Elena Fagan Darden's charming home. Initially a blank canvas, Elena has spent the past year infusing personality into each space with eye-catching patterns and cheerful hues. Throughout the home, you'll notice traditional decor, color-drenched rooms, and even beautiful artwork that Elena has painted herself. Enjoy! You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. To shop items inspired by this and other Homeworthy episodes, be sure to check out the product links below for amazing furniture, accessories, and more.
Hi Homeworthy, I'm Elena, and welcome to my home in San Antonio, Texas. I can't wait to show you around. Come on in. So my husband and I moved into this house in March of 2023. The kitchen and the bathrooms had been really nicely redone, and so we didn't have to have a big construction project on our hands, which was nice, and it was completely white. All the walls were white, and so I got to come into this blank canvas and add all of my crazy pattern and color, which you'll see. Right now we're standing in our entryway, which kind of doubles as this front living room. It's a really great conversation space to kind of sit here with our friends. And right here we have a camelback sofa that was my great-grandmother's that I recovered. I love incorporating heirloom pieces from my family and my husband's family. I think it makes it really special and kind of adding in some things that we collect together to that. So I recovered the sofa of my great-grandmother's. It sits in the window, so you walk up and see kind of the arched back, which I think is really pretty when you're first looking into the home. And it's also our little mini poodle's favorite spot to sit and just watch the cars go by and watch the dogs on their walks through the neighborhood. She sits right here on this little curve, and it's really cute. So I love that piece. And then the drapery in here is from my textile collection. This is the pattern called Georgie, and all of my patterns I created from my own watercolors, and I turned them into patterns digitally, and they're printed on this beautiful linen, and so you'll see bits of that throughout the home as well. I, growing up, was really influenced by my mother and my two grandmothers as far as design, and I love bringing in those traditional elements and mixing them with some unexpected colors and patterns and kind of freshening that up. So this is kind of my take on traditional design. The elements in here are a lot of antiques, a lot of heirlooms. I love these tables from Blueprint in Dallas. I think the shine on this wood and the slightly modernized shape really adds a good sleek touch to this room. And the art in this room, these pieces, I watercolored for our wedding invitations, and then my mom framed them for me, and I love that they kind of add a little nod to that throughout the room and add some fun color and flowers to this room. This fireplace is original to the home. I whitewashed the stone so that it blended a little bit better with the walls, and we love using this in the winter. Right now we are not using it so much in Texas, but it does work, and it just adds a lovely homey feel to this conversation space. On the mantle, I have a little collection of porcelain pieces. I think these are just really sweet and add a little detail. Dropped a couple of plants in them and some pretty twisted candles. The painting above the fireplace I did kind of out of a budget need. I just felt like I knew what I wanted there, and I started putting some paint on canvas so that works right above the fireplace and ties in the rest of the room. And obviously we love green here, so it pulls that in a little bit. I love having little moments of personality hinted throughout the space, so I have a lot of nods to our wedding just kind of sprinkled in. This was a gift for our wedding from one of my mom's best friends, and I think it's really sweet. And then I kind of just have like wedding photos that didn't get framed kind of nestled around to look at. I think that's just a special little touch and to remember such a fun day. I love collecting books. I've been doing it since college, except I moved almost every year through college, and so I learned it was kind of hard to move when you have this many books, but still kept doing it. And now we're more settled, so I can keep adding to the collection. And I love having bringing in colors through the coffee table books and then layering in some little porcelain pieces. These are heirlooms from my husband's side of the family, and some photo albums on the coffee table and on all of the tables. So I love having those around for inspiration and just more layers, and I love seeing books pile up and being able to flip through them and get that inspiration there. These chairs I stole from my mother and recovered them in this paisley that I love. I love the colors in this paisley, and these tiny lumbar pillows with fringe I think is just kind of a fun, updated traditional look. I love the rolled back, and the way this pattern is, I think, just makes them a little kind of funky but still very traditional. I loved the idea of putting chairs here instead of a sofa to keep this walkway a bit more open and to keep the spaces open to each other. And although a narrow walkway, it just does go into the breakfast room, and so I think being able to flow through this space works really nicely with these chairs. I wanted to cover in this beautiful Carolina Irving fabric. I've always loved her Patmos stripe. It comes in a million colors, and I loved the brown here to bring it, just to keep the colors a little bit less girly. Thinking of my husband, he doesn't mind all the color and girliness here, but this little brown stripe was my bit for my husband in this room. My husband is very go with the flow when it comes to my designs. He says he loves what I create, and he'll veto every now and then, and when he does, I know to pivot because he really doesn't very often, so I'm lucky in that way. The fiddle leaf in our entry loves this space. I think it gets a lot of good natural light coming in from this front window and front door, and so this is the first thing you see when you walk in, and she's kind of our little welcoming tree in a fun little chinoiserie pot. And this marbled starburst mirror is a little favorite piece of mine as well. It's from a little marbled paper maker I follow on Instagram, Parvum Opus, I think is how you say it. And I love her work, so I knew I wanted something from her and would love to keep collecting some of those pieces. So that's my first one. As you can see, the home is really open, and so the living room just spills into the dining room, so we'll head there next. I have a table here that was my great-grandmother's that is really pretty underneath this tablecloth that I have on. I love that dark wood, but I also love that I can set it with lots of different tablecloths. And these chairs I picked up on Cherish, so kind of a new addition to our collection, and I recovered them in a yellow velvet I've been dying to use for years. So I loved having that pop of yellow in this room. And I have the table set with this beautiful linen tablecloth from Over the Moon. It has lots of different embroidered flowers, and I loved that it kind of brings in everything from throughout the home right there. And our wedding china is out with these Mrs. Alice linens. My mother and both of my grandmothers definitely instilled a love for setting the table. Even if it's just a casual experience, it really just elevates anything you're doing and makes it really special for your guests or just for you and your family. So we always have taken a lot of joy in setting the table and enjoying a meal together. This buffet I picked up from Le Chateau in Atlanta, and it's a great storage piece. I should talk about the wallpaper. This is also from my collection. I grew up in Texas, spending a lot of time outdoors, and I was always so enchanted by the wildflowers every spring, and so I knew I wanted to create a pattern that pulled in some of those wildflowers that I always have loved, and so this is that pattern. I named it Adela after my great-grandmother who raised 7 children on a farm in South Texas, so that seemed fitting. And just layered in some pieces over that. I love this mirror, that it's a little bit more funky than the kind of frilly paper. And I have some wall brackets. I can keep fresh flowers on those and change them out, which is fun. And I love that the buffet is a bit monochrome with the paper, so it's a little tone on tone, and then we have the dark wood on the table, so that adds some contrast there. So there was a light fixture here that was a very modern nickel fixture, which just was one of the first things to replace. And I found this on First Dibs and just thought it was perfect and got it installed. And I really love just all the details and the little crystal ball hanging, and I think it kind of brings a fun traditional element to the space. And then I love having the sisal rug here to kind of keep things a little more casual with some more formal elements happening in this space. I think having this natural texture is really nice, is a nice balance, especially since it's the center of the home and we are walking through it all the time, all day. So right off of the dining room, we'll move into the kitchen, which is one of the only white spaces remaining in the home. And as a lover of color, I just think I will never get tired of a white kitchen. It's so classic and crisp, and it definitely is, it's a good visual break from all of the color too here. When we first looked at the home, I just could really see myself in this kitchen, and it kind of helped solidify the home for me that this was gonna be it. And it's really a great functional space for us. We love the countertop that was already here. We really got lucky with what they did, and everything just works really great and we love it. So we continued the Adela print onto a soft Roman shade in this window, which I love that it makes it feel like a whole continuous space with the dining room too. And on this wall, I have a Paige Sperrin piece framed. She's a favorite artist of mine, and I just think her work is so fun and cheerful, and this wall was calling for something bold like this to me, and so I love this piece hung here. So we have two bar stools right here that are a great space for just a casual lunch, and really great conversation if someone's cooking and someone's snacking. We love using these little stools right here, and I love the traditional shape and finish on those too. This is not a very big kitchen, but it feels really open and spacious, and I love that the cabinets go all the way to the ceiling. It just really kind of rounds out the space and makes it feel a little bit bigger than it is. These light fixtures were here when we moved in, and I liked them, and so they're one of the few light fixtures that stayed, and I think they're a great little fresh touch to the space. Welcome to the breakfast room. I really wanted to drench this space in green, and I love this very fresh, bold green here. I kind of think of this as like my English garden room, and I love this space. This is one of my favorite spaces in the house, I think. It's just a great room for a meal with my husband and I, or I'll come in here and work, and we have the TV in here, which maybe isn't as the most pretty thing that we could have done, but you have to live. So I love having the TV in here so I can kind of sit on my computer and get some work done or paint or something like that in here. So it's very multifunctional, and it gets great light, and we have a lot of little details to cover. On the drapery in here, this is one of my patterns. This is called Lucille. This, I think, is my favorite pattern, or up there, because I designed this for our wedding tablecloths, and we actually have one of the tablecloths that I was able to get all the wine out of here, and this just stays on this table, and I think it kind of makes the room to have the pattern repeated in so many places. On the walls, I have this gorgeous set of china from my husband's grandmother, and so I think that's a really special touch in here. I actually hadn't thought of it. My mom came over one day, and I had the china out, and she picked it up and was like, "You need to put this all over the walls in here." And so it just really informed the design in this room with those pops of pink and the green on the walls. So once I had the plates on the walls, I knew I wanted to pull a little pop of pink through the room. So these lampshades were the perfect way to do that. And I think they add kind of an unexpected touch to all the green in this room, and just kind of a a little contrast to that. I love this little console of my grandmother's that is mounted to the wall right here. It's perfect because this pathway is very narrow, so it needed to be something that didn't have a lot of depth, and I think it's the perfect little piece right there to keep these extra serving pieces on. Under the console table, I have this wicker picnic basket that houses all of the TV equipment that you don't want to see, and I love the juxtaposition of that underneath a more formal marble and gold tabletop. On the chairs, I have some really cute ruffled cushions from Mrs. Alice. I think they are the perfect little layered addition to the space. They pair so well with the pattern on the drapery, and I think they just add the perfect fun touch in here. So bringing in some more woven and natural materials to this space, I think really kind of pulls in that English garden feel to me. I love having this pedestal with a little fern in it, and just love the texture and layer that brings to the space, and then mirrored in the rug. This fireplace is actually the back side of our entry fireplace, and just really adds another cozy touch to this room. It makes it so homey in here, and I have another Paige Sperrin piece on top of this fireplace. And this also, I whitewashed the stone, and just it feels very crisp and fun to me, and I love having those two fireplaces in the home. So this is a great little closet off of the breakfast room where I can store china and glassware, which has always been another creative outlet that I love, working with a tablescape and bringing that into a design is really fun to me. So this is a great little spot to store those pieces. This set of plates, which is hanging all over the wall, is one of my favorites, and so it's fun to be able to bring this out, and it matches the walls. And this was my husband's grandmother's. She had a huge set of it, and so it takes up a whole shelf in here. And then above it, we have our wedding china, which is a beautiful Haviland pattern that I just am obsessed with. And that goes right there. And then I love these little silver goblets that CC Barfield designed with Lulu Ladoon. And they have just beautiful floral etching, and they're perfect for, you can use them as a vase with some flowers or as water glasses on a table too. Welcome to our family room. This is such a workhorse room for us. We spend a lot of time relaxing here, unwinding after a long day, and enjoying a show together, spending some time here. And it's just a really comfortable, functional room for us, which I love. And I color drenched these walls in this really fun blue shade. And the floor in here actually used to be a very dark green tile. And we couldn't figure out what we wanted to do with the floor, if we wanted to continue the wood, but I kind of loved having it broken up and a different material here. And so we actually painted the tile. My amazing painter did this diamond pattern. I don't think he quite knew what a task it was going to be, but he did a beautiful job, and it brightened up the space so much, and I think added a lot of interest that really was needed in such a kind of expansive room that didn't have a lot of architecture going on. So we loved that change that we made. When you walk into this space, we have this antique piece here that holds some more storage underneath, and I love these lamps that I found in Palm Beach that pull all of these colors together, and then you'll see those colors again in this piece of art on this wall here. So the proportions of this room are kind of interesting because it's just kind of a large open space, but when we were looking for houses, my husband really wanted a big room like this that could hold a sectional. That was one of his few design requests. And so we have this really comfortable sectional and a pair of comfortable lounge chairs that have an adorable little box pleat skirt. Both of these are in perennials fabrics, so they're super durable and you can get pretty much anything out of them, which is definitely necessary for a space like this. This rug I felt really picked up the blue in the walls and the greens from around the house to kind of tie it all together in this room. And then I love having the contrast of a white sofa on top of that bold color. And I think the pattern mix of the tile and the rug, I wasn't quite sure it was gonna work, but I really wanted it to, and I think it does. So I was excited about that when we unrolled the rug. And I love this sweet elephant side table right there. That's from Amanda Lindroth's store, and it's just really darling. The light fixture in this room needed to be something kind of low. We don't have a super high ceiling, but I think this adds just a really fun, unexpected touch there. And then the coffee table, I wanted just a big coffee table I could layer books on and we have some matchbooks from all the places we've been and love, and a lot of little layers there. My husband's other request for this room was a large TV to go with his large sofa, and it just so happened to work really well in this space, and it really does function for the way we live so well. Under the TV, I have a take on a toile pattern that I designed with scenes from around Lake Como where we got married, and so that's a fun touch there. And I actually have some little shelves from Amazon underneath so I can store some things, but it's pretty on the outside. With the lightness in the furniture here, I really wanted to anchor the space with some darker wood tones, and so we have these two demi-lune pieces on either wall that have some photos from our wedding, and the drapery here is another pattern of mine. This one I call Peggy's Garden. Peggy is my mother, and I grew up with her being very artistic and loving florals, and she had this garden when I was little where I remember the sunflowers being like as tall as the ceiling, and I just remember being so captivated by that. And so this is kind of, I feel like, a pattern from a child's point of view of just like wandering around her mother's garden. So that I think is a really special touch here, and it's such a fun pattern with all of these colors, and I love the white against the blue wall and kind of tying in all of the colors from around the house. We obviously need a lot of surfaces for books in this house, so we have a lot of tables sprinkled throughout the space, and I love the mix of textures that we have going on. We have a woven console here. This is a great space to kind of sit with these doors to the outside open, and then continuing that woven texture mix that we have going. This is a great little piece that's kind of a drop zone when you walk in the back door, and I have this box that I think is so cute, and it houses our cords, so that's a pretty way of kind of hiding something functional that you have to have. So I like playing with those kind of things. So we have a series of photos throughout this room by our wedding photographer. She is absolutely amazing, Kristen Kilpatrick. She's so talented, and we blew up these beautiful photos that she took our wedding weekend of scenes around Lake Como, and that's just kind of another special nod to that day. This piece has kind of a funny story. I was helping the ICAA, the Institute of Classical Architecture and Art, with an event they were putting on, the John Staub Awards, and Kashi Plaster, which is a fabulous plaster and metalwork company in Dallas, made these centerpieces for the tables for that event, and they had flowers and things on them, and since I was helping, they were kind of handing them out to people as they were leaving, and I grabbed one, and it's just kind of followed me to a couple houses, but I always think it's kind of a fun little addition to a space, and I love that kind of classical detail in here. Next, I'd love to show you the primary bedroom, so follow me. Here we are in the primary bedroom. The pink continues, and this room really shows how much of a trooper my husband is. It's Queen Anne Pink by Benjamin Moore. I just think it's such a soothing color, and I really love it in here, and my husband loves it too. He was totally on board, but it was funny, the first night it got painted and he laid down and he looked up at the ceiling and he was like, the ceiling's pink too. For some reason, the ceiling being pink was like the boundary, but he likes it. And I have a beautiful Bella Notte coverlet and shams. I like to keep pillows on a bed pretty simple, just to encourage putting them back on in the morning easily. So we just have 2 jumbo shams. Bella Notte does these amazing, really big shams and inserts, and then a little bolster in front of those. The nightstands, I loved that they add a bit more storage to this room. These are from Le Chateau in Atlanta, and they're a great piece for storing sweaters and things like that, but also serve as a really functional nightstand. And then for the bedside lamps, we have these wall-mounted swing arm sconces that I think add a really homey and cozy feel to the space. This art series of botanicals is from Oka, and I love how they tie in with this pattern. They seem like they were just meant to be together, and the pattern repeats a couple times throughout the space on the headboard and on a bench in front of the bed, and then on the drapery. It's a great sized bedroom. We love being able to have a seating arrangement over here by the window, and we have some kind of funkier, more modern pieces of furniture, which I think is a nice mix-up in here. A boucle love seat and these funky pink chairs, which work perfectly with the wall. And some blackout drapery, of course, and a little ottoman that's great for packing a suitcase or anything like that. I always love having a bench at the end of the bed. It ends up being so functional for putting your shoes on or packing your carry-on and things like that. So it definitely gets used a lot, especially by our puppy, so she can hop up on the bed. And it's a great little addition right there, I think. Moving into this ensuite bathroom, we have this really sweet, whimsical pink wallpaper that actually was here when we moved in, and I decided to keep it and continue the pink into the bedroom. So I love the pink swirls through the marble here and the brass fixtures. It's just a really great, fresh space. 2 separate sinks is pretty important in a marriage, so we have a great space here for both of us to be getting ready at the same time. The sconces on the mirror help give some great light for a good little makeup spot and just add a good softness to the space as well. We got really lucky in being able to move in and have these beautiful updated bathrooms already done so that we didn't have to take on the project ourselves. And I just think they are really beautiful and fresh and clean, exactly what I would have done myself, so saved me a little extra work. Welcome to my studio. This is where I work every day, where I design homes and textiles, and it's a really fun space with a lot of personality and love that goes into it. I love having a vision board at all times. I'm kind of always adding to it, and I have some of my textile strike-offs kind of hanging just as kind of inspiration and decoration at the same time. I have some fabrics that are outgoing and scraps in the corner. This is a great functional space to keep some kind of fabrics and things that I'm working on, sending out to the upholsterer and things like that. And some shelves with more, I keep my watercolors in a little crystal dish here, and calendar and my watercolor palette there that kind of are easily accessible but also serve as decoration in here. This home has been a great place for me to experiment and kind of try things out that I want to suggest to clients that maybe they would be a little bit more hesitant on. So we have a lot of crazy things going on, but just kind of pouring out ideas out of my head that has been really fun to experiment with. So over here we have a whole wall of fabric samples and memos and things that I'm kind of referencing all the time, organized by color and pattern type, that I'll pull out a basket and work on a scheme for a client right at this table. So it's a really great functional wall, but also I love having the baskets to keep it pretty, and I keep some watercolors in these bins on top. So it's an easy way for me to store those, but it also serves as decoration. So that's kind of the theme in this office, is things that are useful but also pretty. When designing interiors and textiles, I really look to nature for inspiration. I love all different kinds of flowers and pulling the colors and boldness of those, and traveling, of course, to especially Lake Como with my first collection was such an inspiration while planning my wedding, and obviously there's no shortage of inspiration there. So that has been really fun to design with. I really love a combination of blue and green. I think it's such a soothing palette for my clients' homes, and I feel like I end up doing a lot of play on those colors, which obviously come from nature, and I think depending on the setting, you can use different blues and greens, but they always are tried and true and work for any home and space. So I wanted to show you our front porch really quickly. We have layers of vines growing out here. They grow really nicely in the sun here and greet you when you walk up, which I think is really great. And I'm working on getting some jasmine to grow around this arch here. So hopefully by next year it'll be full and blooming and smelling amazing. So that will be fun to see. And I love having this little iron table here. I think it's so sweet and a great place to sit and have a cup of coffee in the morning and kind of people watch as people are walking their dogs and everything. I have a little lemon tree right here. We'll see if we get any lemons off of it soon. And then in this window, you kind of get a peek of what's to come in the house. So I love that, and seeing the back of that camelback sofa again, I think is just a fun detail when you walk up to the house. To me, home means family and having a beautiful and functional space that works with the way you live, that shows your personality and makes you happy to be in it. So Homeworthy, I've loved getting to show you around today and take you through what home means to me in my home. So until next time.
Today on Homeworthy, we're heading to St. Louis, Missouri to visit the home of interior designer Amy Studebaker. 6 years ago, after touring over 100 homes, Amy and her family moved into this house and made it their own. Amy is known for her talent in layering color and pattern, all while blending new and antique finds. She has created a home that is fresh, inviting, and timeless. Enjoy! You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Before today's episode, click the join button below to support all of the storytelling we do on this channel. Our growing community of members help to directly fund more videos so we can capture these extraordinary homes from around the world. So join today to receive early and exclusive access to new Homeworthy videos.
Hi Homeworthy, I'm Amy. I live in St. Louis, Missouri, and I would enjoy taking you on a tour of my home. Hi, I'm Amy Studebaker, and I own Amy Studebaker Design, which is an interior design firm. We are located in St. Louis, Missouri, so both my home as well as my firm is here. So about 6 years ago, my husband and I purchased this home. And we live here with our son, who is 10 and a half, and our furry little friend Biscuit, who you might actually see running around throughout this tour. I am truly one that just loves to find beautiful things. That's how I approach life. I approach design for myself and my clients. But when it comes to my own personal home, I love a very fresh, traditional feel. I love bold color, I love pattern layering, but I love to just enrich that with antiques that tell a story, tell history, and really make a warm, collected space. Welcome to our entryway. So my husband and I, as I had mentioned, purchased this home 6 years ago. When we were searching for a home, we were very particular about some of the qualities that we needed. We looked at over 100 homes. I think this home was in that first 30, and I was like, no, I need to keep looking. After home 109, I called him back on the phone. I called my husband and I said, I'm done searching. Remember that home that we looked at? Let's just buy it. And so he said yes, and we became very excited. So two of the characteristics that we were looking for in a home was a home that had age to it, because I love, again, like I said earlier, antiques, I love history, so I wanted a home that had some history, but I also, of course, needed a house that had the need for renovation. I wasn't just gonna walk in and put furniture. I needed to be able to gut a house and really give it sort of our take and what we needed in the house. So when we selected this house, it had both of those qualities. This one is from the 50s, and what I love about the 50s is that you're going to walk in and you're going to find fabulous wood doors. You're going to find original hardwood. You are probably going to have plaster walls and plaster moldings, and those were things that just are so my language in design that I knew I had to have it. But what I also love about the 50s is that you're really not going to find a lot of surprises behind the walls. So we were sold, and so what began was the renovation in the foyer when you enter. So what I love about our foyer is, number one, it has wood flooring. I did paint the wood flooring, but because we don't have a lot of windows in this space, I wanted to create a larger feel. So by painting the floors white, the light that does come in bounces off, it reflects, and it makes it feel grander. I added this wonderful pattern, because in history you will find a lot of painted floors. And so it's a detail that really makes me happy whenever we walk into the home. So then I'm going to transition you over to this wall. So originally this wall was open right here, and it went into the dining room. We decided not to use that space as a dining room. It's my husband's office. And what we found when we closed this wall off, though, was that, again, it elongated the space, it made it feel grander. And then what I wanted to do from there was create a gallery wall. So this gallery wall is very special to me. I'm not sure why, but I really have this love for art depicting birds, ships, lighthouses. And so when I travel, whether I'm traveling for purchasing furniture for my clients' homes or just traveling for myself, I gather artwork. And so I've been collecting birds and egg prints, also older oil paintings, and I've been collecting them and adding them to this wall. Kind of a fun little detail is that I'm leaving spaces so that I can continue to collect, because I am one that really feels like my house will continue growing over time. So these little pieces will start to fill in over here. I also love pieces that are larger than what you would expect in a space. So I put this oversized mirror in here to, again, really help with any light that came into the room, creating a reflection and then breaking up a little bit of the gallery. Down here you'll find more of some of my favorite pieces that are just from various things and travels. The majority of this space is original to the home. So with regards to the staircase, it was a characteristic that I wanted to maintain and keep and just enhance. So I love a formal banister in a black high gloss. So we painted the banister, and then I just put a fresh coat of white paint on the spindles. And you'll also notice that I have painted the actual staircase as well. Because again, I just felt like by painting everything white, it was really enlarging the space and helping with that bouncing of light. Another thing that we did in here is that we have added applied moldings all throughout the house. So we had the original plasterwork, but I wanted to enhance that by applying more moldings to really help take like our 8-foot ceiling height and elongate it. And so I went ahead and added the applied molding up our staircase wall as well. One thing that I always tell my clients when I either take them shopping or I'm shopping for them is that buy things that you love. Even if you don't know exactly where you're going to place it, buy the things you love, put it in your home, and you will always walk by it and just have a smile on your face. So I was out shopping in Atlanta and I ran across these English bamboo chairs. My heart stopped and I said, I have to have those. I have no idea where they're going to go, but I have to have them. So I purchased them, didn't tell my family, came home, and I thought, okay, they are going to go in this foyer, but my foyer is really small. I don't know if this is going to work. So my boys were playing video games one night and I was secretly in here taking garden stools and pillows and placing them right here at about the same size as the chairs and just watching my family like walk back and forth. No one knocked into them. So one day the chairs arrive, I switch out the garden stools for chairs and they found their home, and they make me so happy every time I walk by them. And I think that they add a wonderful layer because anytime you can put furniture in a space, I think it just makes it feel very welcoming. Now I would love to show you all my powder room, so follow me. This is our formal powder room, and it's a tiny little space, but it has a wonderful jewel box effect in here. So I started with the wallpaper. This was a wall covering that I had been looking at for quite some time, and I just fell in love with all of the blue and whites and just the whole floral viney feel to it. But what really excited me actually after I selected this wallpaper was that I learned a little bit about the history. So it is a Schumacher wallpaper, and this pattern was actually featured in the Gone with the Wind home in the entry. So different colorway in Gone with the Wind, but it was the same pattern. So when I found out that little tidbit, it made me even more excited about my space. It's a lovely beginning for the design. So what I did though, furthermore with that was I really loved the blue and white. So I played off just the blue and white in the space. So the trim work is one of the shades of blue. The vanity is the same as is the mirror to really just make the space feel like one wonderful cohesive jewel box. When I'm creating tiny little spaces and making an impact, I really love to use the same color but in different saturation levels. So in this space, I used 2 different blues. One is a lighter blue from the wall covering, and then one is a deeper blue from the wall covering. So my ceiling has the lighter blue, and then all of the trim work as well as the vanity and mirror are the deeper, richer, saturated blue. When we were moving into the home, we knew that we wanted to renovate, as I had mentioned, and we gutted 90% of the house. So the powder room was, of course, one of them. I was running out of time and I needed a vanity. And so instead of sitting down to design one, I said, you know what, I'm gonna go to a local antique store and I'm going to make something happen. So I was so fortunate. I walked into a local store and I found a wonderful little vanity, or little console table actually, that was the perfect size. And I said, that is my vanity. I am making it happen and it's going to be beautiful. And I will say it's now a conversation piece. When people enter this space, they always comment on it and ask where I've got it. And I'm like, it's a little vintage find. Now I'll take you to the kitchen. This is my kitchen. And I feel like it's a really special space. I don't cook, full disclosure, but we are in the refrigerator, constantly in the pantry. And of course, like many homes, it is a gathering spot. One of the first design details that I really tackled in the space was eliminating upper cabinets. Because I really do not cook and I don't need a lot of utensils and I don't need a lot of items for that, I really could eliminate a lot of storage for our family by not having the uppers. So we took down the upper cabinets and then really relied on everything below counter to keep everything tidy. So when we did that, I wanted to make sure that my hood had a wonderful shape to it. This just makes me, again, so happy. And I feel like you guys might hear that a lot because I just truly do things that put a smile on my face, make us enjoy our home. And so this hood was a fabulous shape that we went with, and I felt like worked wonders in here. To accentuate the hood, we added sconces on either side, which I think lighting is so important. And so when I'm working on our home or any client's home, we really attack all levels of lighting. So my space needed to have sconces as well as, of course, the overheads. This whole area back here is also, I think, a fabulous detail. So I added this brass bar where some of the items that we might not have storage now for, because I took down the uppers, can hang. So we have some of our wonderful copper items that we use whenever we are making something that's sitting out. I also love to place wonderful oils and such on trays. I think that a kitchen needs to have some accessories sitting out but not be overly done. So anytime you can use something that you physically use on a daily basis and have it sitting out in a lovely way, I think really enhances a kitchen. So we'll have some of our utensils sitting out. We have some of our, like I said, oil bottles. And then my little coffee area over here where I make my espresso every morning. Looking down, we painted our floor in here. So as you guys might start to see the trend as you're walking through, I love a painted floor. They're not for everyone, but they are very much for us because I just love pattern. And if I can put a wall-to-wall pattern on the floor, then that makes me really excited, and I think really adds interest to the space. So in our kitchen, what we did was we used, it was two different blues and a white. And so we painted the cabinetry one of the blues that is in the floor, and then we used the same white that is on the walls and the ceiling. And it really makes for, I think, an interesting space. It also eliminates the need for rugs, which I find to be very nice in a kitchen where it can get dirty from all of the traffic. Up on the walls, I wanted to place art. And so this was a painting that my husband and I both really, really fell in love with. Like, he loved the bright colors and I love a still life with fruit. So this was one that clearly made perfect sense to lean in our kitchen and really be a focal point of the art in the space. It's the largest piece, and you know, it just makes me happy, like I've been saying. Our kitchen island is great. It's a wonderful size for us. My son loves to sit here at the bar stool and have breakfast. And sometimes in the evening when it's just two of us, if maybe I'm running errands and Nick is sitting here with Augie, they'll have dinner right here. So it's been a wonderful, special space for us. Going back to function, I love, again, like setting things out that we use. So our island centerpiece has become a wonderful place to put collected items. So whether it's a silver piece that I gathered on a shopping trip, where typically it's not in there now, but typically I keep like shallots or little onions in there, to like our fruit bowl, and then special pieces that I've collected on my travels. It's just, again, like a wonderful way to make a kitchen feel homey, and for us, really make it functional too. One area that's been fantastic with our island is, of course, having this great seating. I just love it when my son comes in here and sits at the table while I'm doing something in the kitchen and we chat. But these are wonderful stools. They have this great lattice work detail on the back, and they are from mainly baskets. So they've been a really great piece for us to be able to utilize. And I'm very excited with the timing of when you guys came. I was able to have my cushions made. So these are new cushions from the Textiles Designers Guild, and I love the layer of color and florals in here. I think it just, I don't know, it feels fabulous. So in this space, I wanted to be able to create a little bit more depth on this side of the room. I felt like it was too open to the other side of the house, and I wanted it to maintain, this is the kitchen and this is our dining room. So I created this wonderful millwork paneling detail where I brought it in from the opening so that we had defined areas, and also allowed for some more color on this wall because it was just a simple white wall, and I felt like it really needed to have cabinetry or color to it. So What I did do though, like at first was just going to be millwork, and then I decided, oh, I can actually store some items in this area because I have a lot of servingware. So what I did, and I don't know what it looks like inside, I'm gonna open it for you guys, no judging, but I'll show you. So what we did was on the inside, we created some storage to house some of our servingware, of our silver and different items. And so it's been a wonderful addition to storing different items that I didn't anticipate needing to store, but also really creating some architectural interest in this space. I would now love to take you all out to my porch. Welcome to our porch. I love this space, y'all. I am very much someone that loves to be outside, and so any moment of the day that I can be out here on this porch, it really just fills my heart and makes me just feel so good and so happy. So this is an area that on Saturday mornings, my son and I come out here and we snuggle on the sofa, or in the evenings, some nights when we have time, we can. My husband, son, and I will sit out here and we will have dinner. We love it for a couple of reasons. One, we have a wonderful view of a park behind us, which is so peaceful. And then also it's just the privacy of being in our backyard and being surrounded by some of these plants. So I will say, I do not have a green thumb. I do not know how to plant any of the plants, but I do know how to water them. So they are watered frequently. I can handle that. But I love the greenery and I love being surrounded by it. The other thing that I do really enjoy is selecting planters. I don't know if you guys can see back here, but I love finding antique planters and unique ones. So I have collected those over time on my many travels. I even have some on either side of the sofa too. But so this is the sofa that I love snuggling with my 10-year-old on. I'm so glad that he still wants to snuggle mama. It makes my heart so happy. So we'll sit out here and we will read books. We even watch outdoor movies out here. So it's really a place for us that's filled with a lot of our special moments and special memories. And even Biscuit here, when I'm making my morning coffee, Biscuit will run past me or run up to the door, and he will wait at the door until I open it for him, and he'll dart out here, and he's not doing it now, but he will sit on the sofa and just watch people. Like, it's his happy spot too. So it's been a really good area for us to live and enjoy. Welcome to our dining room. This is an area that I feel like a lot of people don't typically use. But a little detail about Nick and I, when we purchased our home, we wanted to make sure we purchased a size of home that was one where we utilized every room. So our dining room is a space that when we were having family over, whether it's for Thanksgiving or just having a few friends over, we actually really utilize it, and we love it in here. So we wanted it to feel like a little bit of a library. I wanted it to have a moody feel. And so I started with this wonderful bookcase made of bird's eye maple that I found on a buying trip in Atlanta. I got this for a steal. The person was moving out of their booth and they did not want to lug it back across the United States. So I was like, I will put it on my truck and I will take it home. And so here it is. One thing I love is that I painted the inside green because I just love the softness of green, and you'll see that in some of the different areas of my dining room. When I decorated it, we, again, keeping with the library feel, I used these old wonderful books that came from a company in Atlanta. I wish I could remember the name because I would tell you guys. So we use these wonderful warm books, and then I did a few different details in here, like this wonderful portrait of this older gentleman, just because, again, I feel like a portrait feels very library-esque, and I love layers. So layering in silver and old books and portraits, I felt was really very special. Now, another little detail that's about this cabinet that's fun. This area was left pretty much for my son and I, for him to have fun with. So depending upon the season, it's filled with different types of items. So right now, with it being summer, we are prepared for s'mores and bonfires. In the winter, you're going to find a hot cocoa bar. So that's a little detail that we love in here. moving around, you are going to notice that in this room we had added beams. So the original structure had an I-beam right back here, and it was such an eyesore. Whoever built it didn't really take the time to hide it, so it turned into like a fun detail for myself. So I decided, let's add beams. I know that this is only an 8-foot ceiling, but I am not afraid of bringing it down even lower because I think it makes it unique. So I took the I-beam and I boxed it in. I added another beam, and then we added the joist beams, and I think it just gives it a really great moody vibe, and it feels really good. Especially with the fact that we painted it in this really great blue, which again is the blue that's on our kitchen cabinets and on our pattern on the floor. So I mentioned that I love green, and I love that you'll see more green in this space. So we have this fabulous Pierre Frey wall covering, which I absolutely love, and so does Nick and Augie, which kind of a funny story. We got the price point back on it, and we were a little like, let's investigate other wallpapers, and I brought samples home. My son looked at the wall samples and said, family, we do not like any of these other papers as much as we like this Pierre Frey, and you have told me that when you're going to be in a home forever, you spend it on what you love. So we need this Pierre Frey wallpaper. So we ended up with the Pierre Frey wallpaper, and it was the perfect decision because it makes us all really happy and we enjoy it. So moving about the space, we have back here a chest of drawers that holds all of my napkins, tablecloths, all of those details. So it's great storage. So dining room chairs are something that I feel like can be a little hard to find. I really wanted to save a little bit of money on my dining room chairs. So I actually selected these wonderful rattan chairs that I had sprayed in my own custom color. Again, it's the green. I love the green. It goes so well with our wall covering and just the details in the bookcase. But to customize the chairs a little bit further and make them more interesting, I added these darling slip covers. My love for Pierre Frey did not stop on the walls. That is what this textile is from. It's from Pierre Frey. And one thing I loved about this pattern was that on the bolt it had a border, and I didn't know about it until I got the fabric. And so when we found out I had a border, there are these wonderful little tie details that we were able to add out of the border material. So it made it even more special. The tablecloth is actually from Pomegranate Home. It's not a custom tablecloth, but I loved the pattern so much that I layered two together, and then I draped it down to the floor for just a little bit more of a formal feel, which I love a mix of formality as well as casualness, because I think it's what elevates a home but allows it to still be very comfortable. Now, when you're looking above the table, this is an antique chandelier that I found locally. I was actually eyeing this chandelier for a good year in the shop, and it was too tall for my ceilings. And so I finally said, Amy, you customize all the time. Why are you not customizing the chandelier? So I pulled the trigger, I purchased the chandelier, and I gave it to one of our fabricators to trim down the rods that you see up here so that it would fit my ceiling height. And every day I am so glad that I did that, because I think it's just the perfect mix of, again, a formal and casual feel in my space. So sort of how I told you guys earlier, when I'm shopping, I love to find things that I just love. I was perusing, again, a local antique shop, and I came across this wonderful antique desk. I loved this little gallery rail made of brass. I thought it was so charming and darling. And I loved that this had a leather top and even a wonderful brass detail on the legs. So I said, I'm buying it. I'm finding a home for it. And it turned out to be the most fabulous little bar in our dining room that has really helped complete the whole space. But I have two drawers that have a little bit of storage, and I have tucked this wonderful ottoman underneath here. I love mustard, and so I felt like this dining room just needed like that bold bit of mustard in here. So that's kind of tucked under for a layer. But on top of my bar, I will be honest, I've mostly collected just really beautiful bottles, or bottles that I think are beautiful. So I love this one with this rattan base and the wonderful red top to it. I have not opened it. I have not opened half of these, but I think that they make for a fabulous decorative look. With regards to what's above the bar, I found this wonderful antiqued mirror. And again, how I love sort of filling corners with oversized pieces. I really wanted to maximize the height from the floor all the way up to the ceiling. Nick was very adamant at first. He's like, this cannot go here. We're not doing this. It's going to look terrible. I'm like, no, it's going to fit. Like, it's going to fit and be beautiful. And so he finally, he said, all right, do your thing. I did it, and you guys should have seen it during Christmas time. I had garland, I had oranges hanging from it. It was really very spectacular, and I still find it spectacular too without the Christmas decor, but a really great little nook in our house. A lot of my designer friends, I feel like they're very fortunate because they are the ones that make all of the design decisions in their home. I am not one that necessarily gets to do that in my house. My husband, I love him, but he is very, very opinionated when it comes to our home and our design decisions. So we really try to work collaboratively together so that we can both find enjoyment in all of the selections that we're making. But I will say there is definitely a challenge when it comes to some of the selections. And I'm even going to go as far enough to say that some of the rooms of our house are not done yet because we have not necessarily agreed on the selections. And so I just step away until it's time and then we figure it out. So let's head into my living room. I'm excited to show y'all that space. Welcome to our living room. In our home, this is our main gathering spot. We do not have a family room. We only have a living room, and I still call it a living room because I love the formal feel of that. But when designing this space, I wanted to make sure that one, it had a little bit of a formal feel, but also felt very welcoming. So again, when we have family over and friends, like this is where we're sitting, this is where we're watching TV, this is where we're doing everything. So as you're looking around the room, you're going to see that I've really layered in a lot of seating. I have a wonderful blue velvet sofa that is so comfortable and cozy. I'm a sucker for velvet though. I love velvet. So we're on here all the time. I've also made sure to include club chairs and accent chairs, and again, like a mix of new and old. This chair is a fun one. This actually, some of y'all might recognize it. It came from the Kiff Space Show House from Palm Beach last year. So I had it in my room, and I was like, it's definitely making its way to St. Louis because of this darling ruffle and the fabulous color detail that we have. While we're in this corner, I'm going to show you guys something. It's sort of a funny story. As you guys have maybe seen me on Instagram, we have a wonderful following, and I love our followers. And so I had a message come in one day, and a follower said, oh my gosh, Amy, you have to click on this link and take a look at this painting. I have found your doppelganger. And I was like, no way. So I click on the link, I go to this auction, and we find this portrait being held for auction. And my mouth just dropped. I showed my husband, he's like, oh my gosh, that looks like you. It's like, could be your aunt, it could be your grandmother. And he's like, we have to buy this. I'm like, no. We're like, we don't need to buy it. He goes, no, we have to buy it, and we're putting it in our living room because it's going to be a conversation piece. And so I said, okay, but I feel a little weird making a conversation about myself in our living room. He goes, we're doing it. So we did it. We won by like just a split second, to the point where I almost wanted to tell the other person, like, do you understand? Like, this portrait looks like me, please back off. But we got the painting. So we got the painting and we hung it, and it truly has been a conversational piece. People are always asking, is that your grandmother? Is that your mom? But no, I don't know who she is. I would love to know the history of her though, and I keep telling myself that someday I am going to see if I can track her down, because it is a signed painting. So we'll see if I can figure it out one day. I do joke though that on the other side, which we do not currently have a piece of art, I think I mentioned earlier, as a designer, my house will probably continue to be added upon. I sort of joke that I need to find Nick's doppelganger so that he can have his portrait over there too. So maybe one day, if y'all see a piece, send it my way. So over here, this is a console table that we had made, and I really use it to be able to, of course, put our portraits, our family out, special pieces to me. I love silver items. I love interesting items. This one spoke to me because it had the little lion head with the ring on it. And so I'm very much just a collector of things that are small and tiny and cute. And so I would say I'm a maximalist for sure, because I can keep layering in the accessories, even just layering in books. I love the ottomans that are below here on my console table. And then of course, like I just layer them with books to just make it more and more full. I think it's really makes a cozy space. So when I am out shopping, I really enjoy a portrait, as I had mentioned to you guys, in my dining room. And so we decided to add additional portraits to the one that looks like me to the room. So this painting is affectionately called Fish Boy. And when my son sometimes forgets that there's a painting above the sofa and he flips his legs, we are always like, watch out for Fish Boy. And he's like, oh, sorry, Fish Boy. And so we talk to Fish Boy as if he is a living human being. But he's been really wonderful above our sofa. And then I flanked Fish Boy with intaglios. I find intaglios to be very interesting. And so I felt like this was a really quiet moment with an intaglio next to such a striking piece above the sofa. Which then you guys can see I furthermore flanked with brass sconces. I just love like a really good full wall, and I love, like I said, levels of lighting. I think it's very important in a home to have levels of lighting, and so you'll see lots of the different lights with the sconces and the lamps, and then again overhead lights. My cocktail table. So kind of a funny story. You know how most people are telling their children, be careful, don't scratch this, don't mess this up. I really don't ever have to say that to my son. And so we got this cocktail table. It has a wonderful sheen to it. I accessorized everything. And within the first year, I was the one to damage the table. So I have damaged it not once, but twice on accident with various things. But I am someone that's just, live in your house, enjoy it, don't worry about your items, and it will carry on and be beautiful. So if you happen to see a couple of spots, that is from me. I'm the one that did that. But what I have done with the cocktail table is I have layered accessories. So I have wonderful things like this rattan box. I think blue and white is always very interesting, and I love a little silver cap. Even though some might put this in just a dining room, I don't feel that pieces have to necessarily be in just one space because it's a serving piece. So I put it in here to keep it interesting. We have orchids, and I don't use a lot of candles, but this one scent is fabulous. So I have a little candle in here too. So when talking about lights, I think that detail is very important, not only in the type of lamp that you select, but a really wonderful shade as well. So it actually took me, I've had these lamps for several years, it actually took me 2 years to find the appropriate textile, and y'all are just in time because they arrived 3 days ago. And so now we have been enjoying these wonderful chinoiserie lamps with this great rose coming textile. It's actually a discontinued textile, and I was very excited to get my hands on it to make these fabulous shades. Now I'm going to take you back here to this little vignette of our living room. So this is, as so many things in our home, this is special to me. This was a wonderful antique Italian commode that I found out while shopping. And again, I didn't know exactly where it was going to go, but I was so in love with it and felt that it was so special that I had to purchase it. So I brought it home and placed it back here, and it was absolutely perfect. So I love this, all this marquetry detail. I think it's very special, it's unique. The fabulous marble old top just, I think, tells so much history. So I love seeing the imperfections. I love seeing the dings and nicks. I think it's just very warm. So what I've done though too is I've layered a few accessories on it, brought over another portrait, And here I layered the portrait with a very simple mirror from Restoration Hardware. Again, sort of mixing informal with formal, I think creates a wonderful casual feel. Oh, my boxes. Okay, you guys, I have these 2 wood boxes and I have to show you this one. I'm sure there are other rounded boxes out there, but with how much I travel and shop, I honestly do not see this wonderful shape often at all. And so when I saw this, I had to get it, and it's so pretty. It's red silk lined and has this wonderful little tassel and key. So the details, I think they're so important. These are a wonderful pair of antique Italian chairs. So there were a set of 6. I only needed 2 because, in all honesty, these are super low, so you really cannot sit at a dining table with these. So I was able to purchase just 2 of these chairs and make them a really little kind of fabulous vignette. So one, it creates a really wonderful space over in this corner, but 2, they're easy to move, so I can easily pick this up and put it into the area of a conversation so that when we're having family, we can entertain. This little pillow, I'll show you guys too. This is why we can't have nice things. This was another little Kips Bay detail that we had in the room, and so I brought it home and thought it was perfect to have right here. Now, talking about lamps again, I have to show you this because, again, I love so much lighting. These are the most darling little rechargeable lamps I have ever seen. I know the market is flooded with lamps right now, but the brass shade is fantastic. The brass base and the brass base down here. So all you do is like touch it on and off. It's so amazing. I also, oh yeah, wait, you guys, you can adjust the head too. So we take these all over the house. Like if we're going out for the evening, I just pick them up, we go outside, we put them here. So they're like little travelers with us. It's perfect for entertaining. I would love to show you all my 2nd level. So let's head on upstairs now. Welcome to our 2nd level foyer. So many homes on the 2nd level that we were looking at had pretty much a hallway only directed to all the different rooms. But this one had this wonderful space at the top, something that I could actually call pretty much a room and a full 2nd level foyer. So I think it feels more like a place that you want to go to upstairs. It's not like you just go up the stairs and have to go into a room. You can kind of go up here and hang out in this space. So it's been wonderful to be able to fill it with furniture. I'll show you this piece over here. So this was, again, another Atlanta find when I was shopping. I saw it, I felt like I just had to have it because I loved this detail of the framework. I loved the hardware and even just the unique size. And so purchased it, brought it back home, placed it here, and then we've made it even a little bit more special by what I keep inside. So these, I'm not one to like put out the magazines we're in or really talk about them, but this is where I keep them. So they're all kind of tucked away, but anything that's been special for our company is placed in here. And so it's really like a wonderful little piece that we call the archive. So this is the archive. And on top of the archive chest, we have this great little bowl. Let me show it to you guys. So this is, some people call it a rose bowl. And on the top it has this silver frog. And so this silver frog is of course like to help hold stems in place. And I rarely find one that is of this size. So this was a piece I was excited to find. Now I'm going to move you about in here. You're going to notice on the walls that we have the applied molding that was brought up from the foyer. And, you know, it really just made the space, again, feel bigger and feel very interesting because I love to design walls, floors, and ceilings. And so my walls really captured a lot of the molding. And then on the floors, we did, again, the white to bounce light. But here I left it very plain. I did not want to pattern up here because I just felt the softness of the white was wonderful. We have this antique mirror that, again, I found on a buying trip in Atlanta. And so It's that oversized statement again that I think makes a space feel fantastic. We have a whole nother side that I will take you down to. So this will lead to the front of the house. At one point in time, we were going to turn this window into a pair of doors, as we do have a structural balcony out there. We haven't gotten to that yet, so maybe one day. If not, we have been known to crawl out this window to sit outside on the balcony, my son and I. But we have it flanked with this beautiful vervain textile in this wonderful block pattern that I think feels so soft up here. This china hutch, which I have to show y'all, came from a company called the Resplendent Crow. The company takes vintage pieces and lacquers them. And so I selected my paint color and had this piece lacquered. And so what I have been doing with this cabinet is over time filling it with creamware and other white pieces that I just love and I find when I'm traveling. So these were a recent purchase. These darling little bowls, I found them so cute. I had to have them. And so I placed them in this cabinet. So this cabinet will be a work in progress over many years, which I'm okay with. You know, things happen in time, but it's a piece that I really love and fills the space nicely. You will see that I added sconces to flank the sides of the cabinet. So I have overhead decorative lighting, but to bring down some of those lower levels of light, I thought that a pair of sconces would be wonderful for in here. And you know, going back to like a decorative shade, I used this darling blue and white striped little floral pattern, which I think enhances the space nicely. So to really round out this space, I have this really great chair. I love the curves and the lines of it, and I had it recovered in this bold Pierre Frey textile. I think the pink is fabulous, and I love a really rich pink. So to kind of play out the vignette, y'all will see that I have these great pieces of art that are drawings of antique chairs. So I felt like this whole little vignette felt really lovely together and finished this side of the room. Another fabulous space that's very special to me is our winter room. So let's go in there. I can't wait to show you all that space too. Welcome to our winter room. So this is the only room in the home that has a name, and I love to tell the story of how it received its name. Y'all saw our sun porch, or our screened-in porch in the back, where I was saying that my son and I, a lot of times on the weekends, we wake up in the morning and we go down there, we snuggle. So when we were deciding what to do with this space, we felt like it could, one, be a guest room for our moms, because our moms do come and stay with us at times. But then my son said, "Mama, it can be our winter room. It's where we will go snuggle in the winter when it's too cold to be on the porch." And so I was like, okay, we are calling it the winter room, buddy. Like, this is our space. So welcome to our winter room. This room really came about with regards to design after doing the Kip Space Show House last year. So this wonderful canopy that I have here was in our show house. And so I just felt like I needed to have it here. And what I love and find very interesting with this canopy bed is traditionally, of course, you will see a bed coming out from a wall and not running parallel to a wall. But I felt like running the bed parallel gave the space more of a luxurious feel and was something unique and different. When we are in here reading or hanging out, my son and I really do, we love to look out the window, and we love just to talk about what's going on outside and see what's happening. And so it's been a really wonderful, cozy space. To further make it cozy, I really looked at the textiles. And so when I selected the textiles, I found this fabulous silk from Cowton & Tout in this blush. And I feel like blush is such a wonderful color to sit in because it enhances your skin, it makes you feel warm. And so it really added to the specialness of this space. One thing you guys are also going to notice is there are sconces inside the bed so that we can turn on special light in there. However, they are not just sconces, they are lamps, and the drapery kind of hides the fact that they're lamps, but it works out really well. So we've added some more lighting in that space. The little chair in the room is one that actually matches the chair downstairs in the living room. It's its friend, but I did it in this, again, this wonderful mustard color, and it's a velvet, and it's just, oh gosh, it just feels so soft and fantastic. And so sometimes I will come in here and sit. Biscuit also loves sitting here. So if this pillow is not here, you will find Biscuit running in and hopping on this and just sitting here and watching us as we come and go in the hallway. So he loves this room too. This marble table is something I found at a great antique shop called Foxglove Antiques. I saw it and I just said, it's the cutest thing. It's going with us and I'm going to find a home for it. And so it landed here in this room next to the chair. I think they're the perfect size and scale. This is a great little chest. So this is actually from the Resplendent Crow, who did the same piece in my foyer. And again, I love that I could select my own coloring. This is Greek Villa. Done in a high sheen, and I think it's an absolutely beautiful color next to the original brass of the piece. I know one thing that really drew me to this was that the unique features of one type of hardware up here and one type of hardware down here, because I think it gives it a really warm feel. I keep some special items in here, and so this has been a good little piece. Outside of using this room as our guest room and snuggle room, I also do my hair and makeup in here every day. I love enjoying each space, and I find it to be really important to be able to go into the spaces that I've created and spent so much time making wonderful for us. So I do my hair and makeup in here every day. I'm going to show you this charming little chair. So again, my love for Pierre did not stop downstairs. I found this wonderful textile from them, and I had this super cute little skirt made for the Chiavari chair, topped it with a cushion, and you'll see the little back detail with a wonderful ruffle at the bottom just to make it extra special. I also use a textile again on the shades. I don't do it to every shade, but I think there are some shades that are really special when you have that detail. And so I loved this pink and white stripe against the floral textile that I have on my walls, which actually you guys might be interested in that. So I find like wall coverings are great, like actual paper coverings, but you can really use any textile as well. You just have to have it backed, and then you can make it a wall covering. And so if you were to feel my my wall covering, you would notice that it is a textile that was backed. And I think just the fact of having that weave on the wall really warms the space up. So I think it's been a fun little detail in this space. I have to show you guys one more thing in this space. This is Kip. And his full name is Kip the Whip. So he was, again, a part of our show house in Palm Beach. And because it was called the Kip's Bay, his name was Kip, and because he's a whip, so the whole thing, it was really cute. But Kip had to come home with me. After he had a name, I couldn't leave him. I felt like I was leaving a child in Palm Beach. So I'm like, Kip, you gotta come home with me, buddy. And so he is here now, and he sits in this room and watches over us when Biscuit is not in here watching over us. Well, Homeworthy, thank you so much for coming to tour my home with me. I have very much enjoyed sharing it with you. Until next time, thank you.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.